Good evening, America. Welcome back to another episode of Warrior Wednesday. It's not Break the Machine. Remember, every 2 weeks we do a Warrior Wednesday. Major Ed Polito's not with us tonight. He's out, grinding, raising money for veterans with his 501c Empower the Veterans, doing another golf tournament. He will be back in 2 weeks, and he does have equipment. He showed me pictures. He's going to be hooking it up, so we won't have any sound and visual issues anymore with the major. So it's gonna be great to have him back. But tonight we have a really solid guest. Um, Suresh, you know what? I might say his name. I pronounce it Madhavan because that's being my Hispanic. But a lot of people call him Mad Haven. So he's gonna correct me when he comes in if I said it wrong. But this guy is the American dream. He's the epitome of what the American dream is. He's got his hands in law enforcement. He's got his hands in the veteran community. He's got a very successful tactical company that he's grinded out. I've kind of watched it grow, and he's on the rise. And I think you all are gonna enjoy our conversation tonight. We're gonna hear his story, and we're gonna hear it's all about America. Okay, so those of you who think that the dream is dead, it's not. It just takes some perseverance, some hard work, and just some good old freaking ingenuity. And we're gonna get into it tonight with Suresh. I'm gonna bring him on right now. So without further ado, let's bring him in so he can introduce himself to you all. Suresh, once again, thank you for giving me your time tonight. Totally appreciate it, brother.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So let's get into it, man. Your story is a really solid story. It's a story of many Americans have, okay, growing up in America. And just, your success is something to just actually watch and pay attention to and learn from because you've been doing everything right. And I'm sure even with like any success story, there's mistakes made and you learn from them and you just keep going. So just get into it, let everybody know who you are, where you're from, and you talk about your success eventually. But let's hear your story.
Yeah, man. Thank you. If there's anyone listening right now that has ever thought that they're destined for more, or maybe they're just at a point in life where they feel like they just need to do something bigger, they feel like maybe they don't have enough money, they're not living the life that they thought they'd be living by this point. The message I'm going to share this evening is for you. I mean, it's the ultimate, like you said, American dream that's possible for anyone. Even if you look like me, you have my skin color, you have my background. And one of the things that always bothered me, especially as of late, these last few years, was the narrative going around that if you look like me, this country is not going to afford you any opportunity. You're going to
Yeah.
be held down. There's something in the ether out there that's going to hold you down. And the irony is, a lot of the people saying that were people who look like me they're
Yo,
multimillionaires. They're
100%.
decamillionaires. They're worth tens of millions, sometimes hundreds of millions of dollars. I can't imagine, being a certain demographic and sitting there on a big stage telling other people of your same demographic that, like, this country is racist, or this country is like against, this or that. Meanwhile, the question that I have is, well, how'd you make it then? How'd I make it? How, and I'm not just talking celebrities. I'm not talking about athletes.
Right.
Down the road from me, there's a billboard with a black guy who's an attorney. He's one of the top attorneys in this area. One of the top surgeons in this area is a black man. So like we're not talking just about, like,
We even had a president that
we
was
had a
black
we he got elected twice. He got elected
twice.
twice, right? So that begs the question: what's your excuse, right? At this point, you can't say, you know, look at most of the big cities or across this country. What is the race of the chief of police in most of
It's
these
true.
major cities?
It's very true.
What's the race? You can look it up. You could look it
Yeah.
up. Look at politicians across the board. Look at these major cities across the country. Who's their political leadership? you know?
100%, man.
So these are the things I look at. I'm like, man, like this is absolutely insane for people to speak this narrative. And my mom came to this country from another country without speaking English, right? And she raised me. My dad left when she was 8 months pregnant, around that time, and that was it. She had me. I was her last child and her baby boy. I have two older sisters, and she made it. She made it in this country, and she was able to give me an education. We lived in a place in New York that, yes, there was racism, and we had to move. I mean, we were dealing with racism in this place where we lived, Staten Island, New York. It was an all Italian neighborhood, and yeah, they didn't want someone like my mom living there, an immigrant, a foreigner, and they ultimately threw a brick or a stone through our window, followed by a quarter stick of dynamite or half a stick of dynamite, something like that, and it blew up on the arm of the sofa that my sister and I were sleeping on. So that was the point where my mom said, "Okay." She had put up with a lot of it up until that point, and then she
Mhm.
left. So we moved to New Jersey. I finished out school in Jersey, and then I was in, once again, an all white community in New Jersey. But guess what happened in that all white community? Yes, I dealt with adversity. I dealt with adversity from the local cops and the local police department. But nevertheless, in an all white school, I was, because of my work and my dedication and how I carried myself and my ethics and my moral, I became senior class president in an all white town in an all white school. How did that happen?
Right.
Right. So I became senior class president. I graduated, not at the top of my class, but near the top. And I went on to go to medical school. How did I get into medical school? We didn't have money, you know? I worked hard. I had to get good grades. I had to apply for grants. I had to apply for scholarships. I had to do work. And guess what? Guess what? I earned them because it's possible to earn them. If it wasn't possible and this country was what people say it is, I would have never made it. I would have just been denied all around. I got into
Right.
some of the top educational institutions in this country. What, did they make a mistake? Did they was it just an error? No, it wasn't.
Right.
It was hard work, and that was what my mom instilled in me. She told me, "Listen, the color of your skin, you are going to encounter obstacles. You're going to encounter adversity." But she never coddled me. She always said, "Just use that to push to the next level." And I was always cognizant of not trying to feel like a victim, because you know what? In this world, there's people who are overweight, they're discriminated against, right?
Right.
They might be a different gender, they're discriminated against. We have people who served our country and lost limbs, and they're discriminated against, right?
Yeah.
And they're as white as white can be, right? So we
Correct.
see it happening to everyone. It wasn't like I was special and I was the only person in the country being discriminated against. That wasn't the case. It
Right.
happens every day. Heck, there's
Across the
discrimination
board. Across
against
the board.
there's discrimination against short people. There's discrimination against tall people, right? Like,
Yeah.
so, and we look at all these people a little differently sometimes, right? I'm guilty of it too. I'm not going to sit here and say I walk through life without judging other people,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
It isn't until later on in life, as you some of the experiences you had. Like I had the fortune of, in the 1990s, after when I graduated high school, I went into the Marine Corps.
Mm,
Right. So like I remember I had, we're talking about race and stuff like that. I remember one of the tech schools I went to was in Huntsville, Alabama. And I had all these preconception note, just from the history that we learned, Alabama was going to be this place that was like completely off the wall racist. And it's not that there wasn't racism. There was a town called Decatur that was still very racist at the time. But if you go there now, you wouldn't even recognize it. Anyway, with that said, I went there with this, notion that I was going to get picked on because, here's this Puerto Rican from New York. I'm wearing hat. I got, wearing baggy jeans and all this other stuff because that's, I had that urban look and stuff like that, right? So when I went out, I was going to get picked on. Didn't even experience that. Some of the best people I have met, okay, broke those preconceptions in my head, okay, that I was going with because of what I learned growing up, that the South was this place that, and I live in the South now, and it's probably the nicest place I've been to. I live in South Carolina, which is supposed to be an extremely racist place. Not experienced it yet. Okay. And again, I didn't experience it in Alabama. This was in the 1990s. All right. So having gone into the military, once I had that not that good experience, my mind just opened up. Then I met people from all over the country, Mexicans, blacks, other whites. You know what I'm saying? Other Puerto Rican. It didn't make a difference. I mean, I met a Ukrainian dude that was serving at the time and everything. Like it was just a big. We were all one color, green. When we were going through Paris Island, we were equally worthless. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? With
yeah,
the drill
right.
instructors screaming on us and everything like that. So my mind opened up at that point, and visually I was able to take a look again and say, yeah, well, I experienced some stuff, here and there. Of course, I will tell you this, man. I have experienced more racism at the hands of the black community and the Hispanic community than I've ever from the white community.
100%.
Okay.
100%.
More from
Yep.
blacks and Hispanics, my own people, and people that are supposed to be, that we're supposed to be tight with. All right. But you know what? I never took that to judge other people either. Right. Like I
Yeah.
didn't take that experience and say, just because this person's black or another Hispanic or another, from another country is shitting on me, I'm gonna treat everybody like that. I have never equated a whole race of people because of a few idiots that I've come across in my life. So I get where you're coming from, and I totally understand that, man. I've been through it too. In the military too, we go through it, with other people. But
Yeah.
you know, again, it's all perception and vision. Got to have vision, and you definitely have it. So I'll let you keep going.
Yeah, man. One of the things I realized early on was, success brings a lot of benefits and affords a lot of opportunities. And I had a mentor early on who today he's a billionaire. At that time, he wasn't a billionaire. And this is someone, a white guy, who took me under his wing and saw that I wanted to hustle. I wanted to learn. I was reading books. I was doing what it took. And, let me go back a little bit. After medical school, I was in school during when 9/11 happened. So immediately when 9/11 happened, I was my mind was blown. I was like, how can this happen in our country and in the city I was going to school? I was in university in Manhattan. So or in New York City rather. So but I was working in Manhattan at the time. So what I immediately thought was I'm going to join the military. I have to join the military. I have to go fight the people that did this. So I went home. I went actually spoke to a Navy recruiter. I went home. I told my mom, I said, "Mom, I'm going to join the Navy." And she said, "The hell you are. I'll kill you right here. I'll kill you right here on the spot." So, and she said, "No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. You will not." So I was upset. She said, you're you're going through medical school, you're almost done, and you're going to go become a doctor. And that's my goal. That's my dream for you. So I graduated, I finished school, and I did not go into medicine. I went behind her back after working in research for a couple of years, and I became a police officer in Jersey. And
Hmm.
that was, the best thing that ever happened to me, and one of the worst things that ever happened to me happened as a result of that. But I got to where I am today because of that. And what I learned as a police officer blew my mind. Here you are, 22 years old, you don't know anything about anything, and you're walking into homes in the middle of the night, dealing with domestic violence, dealing with child abuse, dealing with all kinds of issues, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, and you have to be the counselor, you have to be the marriage counselor, you have to be the family counselor, you have to be, the nine different hats you have to wear as a police officer. And I was a kid, I don't even think I had a dog at that point, let alone, telling people how to like manage their children.
Right.
So it was a wake up call for me. And there I was, one day I was, you know, preparing to take care of sick patients in a hospital and and operate, and the next day it felt like I was working the midnight shift wearing body armor and having a gun on my waist. And I said, man, what a turn of events in my life. And I had some animosity toward my mom because I had some friends that joined the military, joined the Navy. A couple of guys became SEALs, and
Right.
I was always having animosity toward my mom for not allowing me to go down that path. And but I've forgiven her. Everything happens for a reason.
Right.
And but what I learned immediately when I became a police officer was, and I learned this from my mentor, you couldn't rely on what you thought you were going to get. Meaning, there were most of the guys that I was a police officer with, they were officers because they wanted a secure salary, they wanted the
Right.
pension, they wanted the medical benefits, right? And I liked it because of the brotherhood. Although at the end of my career, I realized the brotherhood that I thought was there was not there. But
Yeah, I know quite a
um,
few cops with that.
yeah,
My mom
yeah.
included. My mom was in the South Bronx for 20 years, and she'll tell you probably tell you the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, everyone's your buddy until the target is on you, and then all of a
Yep.
sudden people are diving out of the way, so the target's not on them, and they don't even know your name. And you're like, "Hey, whoa, whoa, whoa!" Like there were certain guys that I was like, "Wait, I was at your wedding. Like, what? Do you,
Yeah.
I was there when your kid was born. Like, what? Like, and I'm getting like screwed right now. Are you gonna stand up for me? Nope, nope. I'm not gonna stand up. Like, I was on the
Yeah.
midnight shift. I drove 120 miles an hour to come back you up when you were screaming on the radio to
Right.
come save you and put my life on the line. And now when now admin is coming after me for some bullshit, you're not even going to stand up and raise your hand and say, "Hey, this is some bullshit." Like it was absolutely amazing just how many cowards there were in that agency after the like you didn't realize it until the what hit the fan. So but what I learned as a police officer was there is no security. Like any given day, like people were like, "Oh, it's
It
a secure job," but the reality was
can be
any
taken
given
from
day,
you.
yeah, given day could be taken from you. And my mentor told me that. So he said, "You have to create something. You have to create something outside of police work that will be your plan B." Should anything happen, because there were guys, I don't know if you remember, after 2008, there were some agencies that were working under jurisdictions that were broke because of
Yeah.
poor investments and things like that.
Yeah.
So there were guys that did their 20, 25 years and they were going to retire. And like the department was like, well, like we didn't fund the pension. So you're not getting
So
the
they didn't have a
pension. Yeah. So they
right.
didn't have the pension they thought they were going to have, you know? And people were like, well, what are you talking about? I did my time. So now here you are, you did your 25 years and you're however many years old and you got to go find another job because
Right.
you don't have a pension. You don't have a retirement. So it's happened. It's happened to firefighters. It's happened to cops. It's happened to a lot of people. So I that's when I realized I had to start to create something. So I got into real estate, residential real estate, flipping houses, renting houses, things like that, and got my bumps and bruises in that. And I still do it to this day, but on a bigger level with commercial properties, apartment complexes, and things like that. But I kind of just started playing Monopoly, but in real life, and that's what my mentor taught me. Start with a couple of houses, and then you build up from there, and build up from there, and then you buy bigger multi units, and then eventually, now me and my the real estate group I'm in, we own apartment complexes and college dorm buildings and things like that and communities. And I just literally play Monopoly and grew from there. But I knew I wanted to create something else. And I never really looked at the world from the viewpoint that I learned in this one course I took. Whereas most people see problems in the world and they just couple to them. You hear someone complaining about something and you just follow up with another complaint so you can kind of feel like you're there on the same level. Hey, we're both complaining about the same thing, whether it's your old lady or your car, your job or whatever. So they told you to kind of flip the script and start listening to these complaints and start finding solutions, right? And I literally, the day after I got back from this course, it was actually in California, the course, I came back to roll call after I got back from this course, and I came up with the idea for the Max Drive vest, which is, you wear it under your bulletproof vest, you wear it under your body armor, it provides ventilation and airflow so you don't stay soaked in your sweat all shift
Yeah.
long. And I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I realized that was something I kept hearing from the day I became a cop. I kept hearing about how people were hot and sweaty and itchy and breaking out in rash and uncomfortable in
When
their
when you're
kit.
in your kit when you're in your kit, it's just like the same thing in the military, man. When you're in your kit, it's and then especially like, in my case, in 2004, running around, in July and August, kicking down doors in 140-degree weather with your shit on, okay? And we had the old IBAs, not like the kits that they've been wearing now for about a decade and stuff. So I had the old IBA on at that time. It was like wearing a freaking flak jacket from Nam,
Yep.
okay? Except you had, and it, because you had sappy plates in it and stuff like that. So that shit is hot, very
Yeah.
very hot.
It's
And then
hot. It's
then you
heavy.
gotta you gotta count you got a camelback on it too for water and stuff like that. So that just weighs it down even more. And heaven forbid it gets wet, it's a wrap.
Yeah, man. People don't know. Like average people don't know. They just don't know. They've never been in the military. They've never been in law enforcement, so they don't know. I didn't know. I went from wearing a lab coat to wearing body armor, and then I'm sitting there. I'm like, what the heck is this? This sucks. So I came up with the solution for that and stopped coupling with the people complaining about it. I was one of them. And I said, I'm going to stop complaining. I'm noticing, I'm listening, I'm going to find a solution. So, I had, graduating, I had my degree in biochemistry and physics. So I went to
Nice.
someone who was in the fabric and textile world and got on a plane, flew 15 hours overseas, got the material developed, brought it back, went in my garage with some duct tape and a sewing machine I got at a yard sale. And my garage didn't even have heat. I just set it up and I started sewing and I developed the Max Dry vest and that was it, man. A short time later it went viral. It went across the globe and there were people from all over the world ordering it because it was a concern. It was a pain point and I took care of that pain point for those who wore body armor, whether you were a police officer, whether you're in the military, whether you were security, you work for an armored car company, didn't matter. And that was the beginning. That was the beginning of 221B Tactical. That was roughly 2014, 2015.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I mean that's all she wrote. So we're on our fifth generation of the Max Drive S now,
Was that
and
the one that I pulled? I pulled up your site.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it right there. That's the fifth gen, and it's worn by over 500,000 soldiers, police officers, operators. And like I said, we even have armored car, security officers that work for like Garda and Brinks and stuff like that. If you wear body armor and you don't like sweating in it and staying soaked in your whole sweat, your own sweat all day long. Well, that's why I developed this, and that's why it's become such a hit. And we even had someone email in the other day saying that the Max Drive vest saved their life because they said that they typically didn't wear their kit and they were on a detail and they discovered the Max Drive vest. So they started wearing their plate carrier again. And a
Mhm.
couple days later, they were in an accident in which they were ejected from the
Oh wow.
vehicle, and the doctors in the ER said wearing their kit had saved their life. And the guy wrote in saying, "Well, I wasn't wearing my kit because how hot and miserable and uncomfortable I was, but I was wearing it that day because I found your Max Dry vest." And he said, "Had I not, I wouldn't have been wearing my kit." And the doctor said I probably wouldn't be here. It was a crazy story. Like you would think, like, wait, hold on a second. How did this thing that like makes you more comfortable and gives you some airflow, how did that save your life? But he explained it in that way, saying if it not for the airflow and ventilation and that ability to be more comfortable, he wouldn't even been wearing his kit. So it's
Wow.
crazy to think like that. We had a guy the other day, he emailed in, this is going back a couple months now, that he was shot in the line of duty and he experienced no fractures, no sternum fractures, no rib fractures. And he said the Max Dry vest provided additional cushion and
Wow.
help with that. So I mean, to get these emails and get these letters from cops out there is just mind blowing. And really, it's like the most rewarding thing about the business. It's cool to say, hey, yeah, I sell some stuff to cops and I own a tactical company and I get to do cool stuff with like
No,
these.
it's stories like that.
It's
It's
stories
stories
like
like
that.
that that
Those
it's
are
make it worthwhile.
that's the ones that make it worthwhile, man. That right there. And I created all this in my garage and I had no help. I had no rich dad. I didn't even have a dad. I had no rich uncle. I didn't even have an uncle. I had no one gave me money for the startup. I just, bootstrapped it. And when it came time to grow, there were a lot of resources out there that allowed me to grow. And those resources are because we live in America. I mean, these resources that I utilize to help my company and my business grow don't exist in a lot of countries. Now, why do you
Right.
think everyone's trying to come to America? You know,
It's true.
so I feel like this would not have happened to me had I lived in any other country and came up with this idea. And like, I don't think I'd be where I am. I mean, right now, what this country's afforded me has allowed me to start a company in my garage and grow it to the point where now I'm living the life of my dreams, right? And
Right.
that doesn't happen every day. And it's not supposed to, according to a lot of people, happen to someone who looks like me or look like you.
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So then, so
Yeah.
but I
Well,
dare
the
anyone.
that's the narrative. Of course, it's a narrative coming from our own communities, right?
Yeah.
Like it's our own leaders, okay, because they're part of the problem, right? Most of them are like you hit something on the you hit a point earlier where most of them already have money. They've made their money. Their pockets have been lined with all the creepy and disgusting stuff that they've done, okay, in order to get where they're at. But it's like let me tell my community they can't make it in the United States while I'm making it, right? While I'm
Mhm.
still getting money on the back end, okay, and people still greasing my palms and greasing and lining my pockets and whatnot. It's our own communities that are the worst, okay, when it comes to it. Like I said, like I said earlier, I experienced more freaking racism from other Hispanics and the black community than I've ever had from. I can count on my hand how many times I've actually experienced racism from a white person. On
Yeah.
my hand,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's just I've gotten more help, all right, from people, outside of my own community than I've had from this Hispanic community. I mean, it's better now with my show and everything like that. I got other people, my co-host is Puerto Rican too. We got a whole bunch of other Latinos that come on the show, but they're America first, right? And they're
Mhm.
Maha, and they're just like it's about, hey, this country we can do whatever we want, if we put in hard work. You're the testament of that, Suresh. If you're just joining us, fam, we're here with. Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
So actually, you pronounced it more correct than most people pronounce it. So the name originates in South India, where my mother was actually born, and
Okay,
the last name there is pronounced Madhavan, like almost
Madhavan.
Math
Okay,
Madhavan.
right.
But
So the
here,
H is silent.
yeah, so now here, it became Americanized by school
Right,
teachers and things like that. So my whole life, everyone said it phonetically, Madhaven, like how it's
right,
spelled,
right,
but that's not how it's pronounced in the
right.
homeland. But I've
No, I
I've just coupled with it, so I've always just been like Suresh
yeah.
Madhaven, Suresh Madhaven.
I just looked at I just looked at the letters in it, and I was like, hey, Suresh, Madhavan. All right,
Yeah,
and stuff like Madhavan. Is that how you
yeah,
pronounce it?
yeah. That's
There
how
you
it's.
go.
But like I said, that's not
Close
how
enough.
I pronounce it, and that's how
I
it's not
got
been
you. I
pronounced.
got you. But
So Madhaven
he
is fine.
he's here with us today to talk about his success here in the United States. If you're just joining us, make sure you go back the first 20, like half hour. He's had this story is fantastic. You do not want to miss it. Let me just say what's up to a few people. Rognina, it's good to see you. Scoob, always good. I know you're gonna drop some funny shit in the chat. Anybody else? Daryl Wigan, first time seeing you in my chat, man. Thanks for coming
Oh,
by.
Daryl's one of
Totally,
my guys.
totally.
Daryl's one of
He's one of your
my
guys.
good followers, man. He's an awesome, awesome guy, man.
Excellent, man. It was good. It's good to have you come by and stop by and spend some time with us. Totally appreciate it. But definitely go back if you're just joining us, and when you get a chance, go back and check that first 30 minutes. We got more coming, but his story is the story of many in this nation, and he refuses to let anything stop him because like many of you who watch this channel, he loves his country just like we do, and understands that with hard work, perseverance, and the grit that he is where he is right now. So, you mentioned something like that's your tactical company, right? Like you
Mhm.
have two, you do realty as well. Is there something else that you do as well? I think you said you do three things now.
Yeah, right now, the third thing I'm working on is I will actually there's a third and fourth. A
There you
partner,
go.
I brought on a partner, and I had a concept for a software that is currently
Oh,
in development. We're about 95% done, and that's going to be
nice.
launching Q4 of this year. And
Okay,
about a year ago, I had a lot of people putting pressure on me to start doing something more with telling my story and sharing my story, because so many people in my world said, Suresh, your story is insane. Like where you came from, how you started, what you endured and persevered, and how you got to where you are today. You got to share that, whether it's speaking or whether it's podcasting or whatever. So I started doing some speaking, some public speaking, and started talking at certain events about a year or two ago, and I'm starting to get back into that a little bit now,
good.
because I enjoy that so much more than sitting at a desk looking at analytics for 221B Tactical. Like, obviously, in the beginning stages when you're the one on the sewing machine in the garage, starting the
Yes.
company from scratch. Like it's you, like you're doing it. Like, and then we got our first office, and I was literally cleaning the toilets. I was sweeping up at night before shutting the lights off. I was doing it all.
Most
Now,
owners
of
do.
course, yeah, right.
Most owners do.
Most
This is your story is a story that nobody really people think when you own a company that you just got people working for you and stuff like that. And until you're like some mega corporation, okay, where you don't have to worry about it and you get Bruce Wayne and shit, okay, you're doing it and you're grinding. So it's good. I'm glad you're telling this story so people understand what it is that they have to do. Okay. When you have a business, you really got to put yourself into it.
Yeah, that I mean, it doesn't come easy. No one's going to do it for you. Even if you get money or loans from someone, which I didn't get anything. You still, even if that happens, you still have to put in the work, and you still nothing's given to you, nothing's handed to you. Just like when it comes to your safety, I tell people all the time when I talk in tactical spaces, no one's coming to save you. You have to be your own first line of defense, whether it's in your home, when you're out with your family, it doesn't matter. You have to be your first line of defense. Be ready, be prepared. No one's coming to save you. The same goes for business. Someone could give you money to start a business, but you still have to know how to utilize that money. You have to know how to not squander those funds. You have to put in the work. I mean, I can't tell you how many times that I went all through the night working in the early days of 221B Tactical. I just worked all through the night, and then I had to go to day shift at 6:45 a.m. And I went there with no sleep, and I worked my shift, and then I came home, slept for a couple hours, and worked all through the night again. That's what it took, and that's why so few people make it, because most people, it's not that they're not afforded the opportunity. Everyone has that 24 hours in the day, and everyone can make that decision to stay up all night and do the work and do the research and grind. Everyone has that capacity, right? That's not like, oh, I have to be really good at dribbling a basketball and shooting a basketball or throwing a football or swinging a bat. No, no, like that. I realize that some people have skill and are blessed with, but when it comes to
They don't
hustle,
even but those people don't even make up 1%, okay, of the population.
right, right, right. I mean, it's so little, but when it comes to grinding and hustle, everyone has
Anyone can
that.
do it.
Everyone has that ability, and it's just the people who choose to do it and the people who choose not to do it. And that's the difference that makes the difference. Are you willing to do what's required when you're required to do it? Or are you simply going to just do what you feel like doing and come up with some kind of story about why you didn't feel like doing what's required and then complain that there's not opportunity for you, there's not, there's racism, there's it. Listen, don't get me wrong. We know, we know.
It
Okay.
exists.
There's
It's not
racism.
like it
There's racism
yeah,
in
it
this country.
yeah.
There's racist cops. There's racist doctors. There's racist lawyers. There's racist school teachers. I had a few. There's racism. I'm sure there's like racist butchers out there, right? There's a racist priest out there. There's racist everything out there in this world. And if anyone ever wants to try to say, well, I want a world where that doesn't exist, good
It's not
luck. It'll
it's not gonna
never,
happen.
it's never going to exist. That's a dream, because that's like saying, I want a world where people walk around and they never look at someone who's fat and overweight a little sideways and then in their mind pass judgment on that person. It's just
Oh,
never
yeah.
going to happen. We're never going to live in a world where you walk by someone who's 400 pounds and not have a negative thought about them and not look at them a certain way and maybe
Yeah.
not even interact with them a certain way because
Uh,
of the way they look. That is,
like
I know white people who do that. I know black people who do that. I know
yeah,
Asian people who do that. I know Jewish
yeah,
people who do that. So let's not think, oh, we got to live in this dream world and everything is going to be okay. No, we live in a great country and it has its flaws. However, despite those flaws and despite those little pockets of people and despite those little issues that we deal with as a country and as a nation, this is still the greatest country on the planet. And the
100%, man.
opportunities afforded to you here, man, you can't get that anywhere else. So you can either complain and come up with some story about why you're not where you think you should be, or you could just own it and say, you know what, I'm not where I should be because one, I'm not putting in the work to learn and get the knowledge. And then after I learn what to do, I'm not putting it into practice. And because I'm not putting it into practice, I'm not getting the reward. Because there's a lot of people who know there's people who listen to 4-hour podcasts. There's people who read books, they go to seminars, they watch YouTube videos, they do it all, yet they never put it into practice. Or
Right.
they start putting into practice and they're like, "Oh man, this is hard, man. This is
I
hard. This."
almost, bro, I almost quit. I'm telling you, I started my channel a year ago, right? I feel with everything that was going on in the country, with the election that was coming up, that was very pivotal. We were inches away from we were sliding down a socialist ladder that we were not going to be able to return from without fighting each other in the streets and whatnot. That was my mentality at the time, and I just felt like God was telling me, you have some wisdom, you have age and wisdom, you have experience in life, do something with it, right? And I started the channel, and I'm telling you, man, I would make these. I didn't even do my first live until June. I started in January of last year, okay, and I didn't even do my first live until June. And it was just like, and my moderator was literally the only person that would come to my. He wasn't even my moderator yet, okay. He would come. He was the only person in my chat, and he would talk to me. And because he mods for a whole bunch of other people, okay, he just like he stood with me, and he just like kept giving me the confidence, just telling me, don't quit, don't give it, just don't give it up. I got close. I was gonna be like, man, what's the point? Nobody. I'm trying to give wisdom here, and nobody wants to listen. And he stood with me. Then I met my co-host, my Monday and Friday co-host, in October of last year. And then things changed. He had a bigger following on Instagram. He helped bring that following to the channel, and like our viewers are all true tellers and truth seekers. I call them in their own right. And I just like from there on in, I was like, I have to grind this out. If I want, this is my therapy anyway. If I want to continue to do this and I want to make something of it, I have to stick it out. I can't give up, because you can't, nobody who's big has made it, like, unless you just like hit some viral shit and it went like, some people have that, but 90% of the people that are doing this aren't even monetized. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's like,
Yep.
you have to grind, right? I'm actually closer to monetizing on Rumble than I am on YouTube. YouTube has got me like on ice, and they just got me strapped on it, and they don't want to they're going to make sure my videos don't get out, you know. But I just didn't give up, right? And I'm not going to give up. Like I said, I enjoy doing this. I get to have great, guests like you to tell your story, to give confidence to people that they can do it and whatnot, and that, just drive. It's all about the drive. And, it got me. I was, man, Suresh, I was close to 400 pounds in January of last year. Okay. I let myself go. I let my PTSD get the best of me. Okay. I just let life get the best of me. And when I started talking and got myself back in the gym, and I changed my eating habits, changed and everything, I lost 100 pounds.
Wow.
Okay. In a year. I'm
Man.
down to about 300 pounds. I still got another 100 to go. Okay. But like my confidence has not stopped. Okay, but I literally, like, we were talking about fat people. I was that guy that people were looking at, and they still do. Okay, giving the side eye and everything. And I was just like, I got to keep doing it. I just have to. And then, I'm having all these medical tests, recent medical tests. My calcium score came back 0. I was like genuinely worried and stuff like that because of
Mhm.
my weight,
Yeah,
morbid
yeah.
obesity. Went and got a CTA the other day, and freaking they called me back today and was like on Monday, and today the VA called me and was like, your calcium score is 0, and we checked, 'cause I had it with contrast and everything, and they lit me up and like, you look good, and just
Wow.
keep doing what you're doing, keep losing weight, keep
Amazing.
exercising. But now that I know that my calcium score is freaking 0, I'm gonna ramp it up now. Like, I
Yeah.
was worried about ramping it up because I was like, am I gonna have a fucking heart attack if I
Yeah.
try to if I try to take that next level that I want to go? But now, my confidence is even better now. They're like, oh, even through all of this, I still managed to freaking be okay. God's got me. All right. I know he's got me.
Amen. Amen.
He's got my path lit up. And my path brought me to you the other day when, last week when you're like, hey, we should do a show. I'm like, are you are you good for next week? I'm good. Let's do it. And this is what this doing this stuff lot these lives is doing. Man, I got people I don't even talk to anymore in my life. Okay. I'm sure you do as well.
Mhm.
All right. That, like, I
Mhm.
have nothing to do with them anymore, because when I started meeting some new people with different outlooks and just different, experiences, and just constant grind. All right. Like my friends who are in the political spectrum that are constantly grinding, they refuse to quit. They're fighting for New York City tooth and nail, and they refuse to quit. And I can't do nothing but admire them for it. because they refuse to give it up. You know what I'm saying? So like
Yeah.
if they can do that and if other people can do that, that means I should be able to freaking stick it out too. And and my co-host who's usually here, like I said on Warrior Wednesdays, the dude lost his leg, okay, to an IED
Oh,
in Iraq. He freaking does real estate. He's got his 501c. He does a beer night with the Chamber of Commerce in Oklahoma City every other week and stuff. That's why we only go every other week with it because like he's got other shit he's doing. The guy's on the road all the time. So like I look at people like him, okay, and I'm like, if he can do it, there's no reason why I can't. You know what I'm saying? There's no
yeah.
excuse for me not to continue to grind and do my thing. So I just appreciate your story, man. I just freaking it gives me energy, man. Just hearing you gives me the freaking vibe to just keep grinding.
Yeah, and and God bless you for doing what you're doing and continuing on that path and, you know, pushing, because what else is more important than your health, man? Like
Yeah.
without your health, you have nothing. Nothing else matters, right?
Yep.
So the dedication it takes to lose 100 pounds is more than most people can ever imagine, and more than most people would ever do. Most people, if they hit 400 pounds, they probably just give up on life and just keep going. And that's how you see people hit 500. So the
Yep.
fact that you have put that dedication in, that's insane and that's incredible. And I like how you said, and now I'm not done. You're not satisfied. You're like,
Right.
I'm going to go to 200, and that's where I want to be. That's my goal. Okay, so that's great. And there's a difference, right? You now at this point know what's required, right? I've helped a lot of people in my world lose weight, and it's always been the same. One of my business partners, I helped him lose 60 pounds.
Awesome.
One of the things that I said from the very beginning was, I am going to tell you exactly what you need to do to lose the weight. However, the only reason you will not lose the weight is if you fail to care about your health more than I care about your health. And that's the
Right.
only time I will stop talking to you and stop trying to help you, because I can't care about you losing weight and being healthy, because he was just one heartbeat away from a stroke or a heart attack. And I said, I can't care more about you and your health than you care about you and your health. So I'm going to show you what to do and tell you what to do. I'm going to spell it out for you. And the only reason that you wouldn't do it is if you simply don't care about possibly dying tomorrow. If you don't care about possibly dying tomorrow, okay, then you won't do it. But you know what to do. So it's not going to be like, oh, I didn't lose the weight because I didn't know what to do. No, I
Right.
spelled it out for you literally hour by hour, Monday through Friday. And then here's what you do on Saturday, and here's what you do on Sunday, and then let's start over on Monday, right? And
Rinse
he
and
did
repeat.
he did it. He did it. And that's what, and and I said it for him, it wasn't a diet. I said, you're not going on a diet, bro. This is
Yeah.
your new lifestyle. This is your new you. This is what it's like. If someone puts something in front of you, just like when you're a smoker, like, who are you, right? It's not, oh, sorry, I'm trying to quit. Or when drinking, someone offers you a drink, oh, no, sorry, I'm trying to quit, right? No, 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 no. It's the real people. You know who the real ones are, because they say, oh, I don't smoke. Or they say, oh, I don't drink. They're not
Right.
trying to be something. They are it. They're being that
Right.
person right there in that moment. Like, oh, sorry, I don't drink. Oh, oh, okay. Someone put
Yeah.
something in front of you. Oh, sorry, no, I don't eat that. No, no, no. That's not who I am. I don't eat
Right.
garbage. I don't eat fried food. I don't eat those carbohydrates. No, I just don't eat that. Not like, oh, I'm gonna diet. I'm trying to lose weight. Oh, I really
Yeah.
wish I
No, they
could.
just their response is like, "Nah, I don't need it."
That's it. That's it.
And
Right.
then they just keep going. They don't even talk about it anymore. They're just like, "Yeah, nah, it's all right. Thank you, but I don't need that." And then whatever the conversation is, they just keep rolling with it.
And
I
that's
listen, I
it's the same
go
thing for
ahead.
business success, by the way. By the way, it's the same thing for business success. It's about doing what's required. And it's the same thing. If you want to be successful, you know what to do. You just have to say, I'm not doing that. Someone's calling you out, boys are going out to drink or whatever. Yeah, no, man. No, I don't do that. I don't do that. I'm on my
Yeah.
journey. I'm on my path to get better finances for my family, get better, retirement for my future. And I can't do those things. I'm not going to sit there on Amazon and buy garbage. I'm not going to go ahead and do these things that cost money that I can't afford. I have my direction, I have my purpose, And that's this is the plan I'm on. That's not who I am. I don't do those things. And that's what you need to do. That's the discipline required.
Yeah, I 100%. Victoria, thank you very much. Rogue Nina was one of my ride and dies. She said that she never knew that about me. She's like, I never know about this about you. Great work. Yeah, Daryl, I appreciate it, man. My diet has changed. You know, it hasn't honestly changed that much. It's when I eat, uh, has been a big thing. I used to never eat breakfast. I made sure I start the day off with some oatmeal or something. I gotta have breakfast just to get me going.
Hmm.
Um, I'm back on military time. We're working out. My apartment complex has this fantastic gym, so it's like there's no excuse not to use it. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Just no. I literally can walk. It's a 2 minute walk, literally
Hmm.
from my apartment. So there's no excuse not to use it. So I make sure I'm in there Monday through Friday and stuff. And um, there's some things now that I know I can ramp it up. I know exactly what I'm going to do to ramp it up. So like I've been waiting just to get, this all started up in New York, right? So New York, my cardiologist up there with the VA told me that I had from a nuclear stress test and an echo that I had a 70% occlusion. I was
Hmm.
fucking petrified when I heard that, Suresh. I was
Hmm.
like, oh my God. So I was like, well, we doing a heart cath? He was like, well, you would have to be at 75%. So I was like, well, so in my head, because I was in EMS and I know some medicine and I was actually studying to go to PA school when all the COVID tyrannies happened, and I worked in a hospital, and it like took me away from medicine because I just didn't want to be part of that. I just My mentality was I swore an oath on two separate occasions to protect people from enemies, foreign and domestic. And the shit that's going on with COVID is just incorrect. You know what I'm saying? It's like I can't be part of that. So I strayed away from medicine, like practice and stuff. I still stayed within it. And so, like, I was telling them up there, I was like, well, can we just get a CTA? Like, can we confirm? Like, let me get a calcium score. Let's go through. If you think that's what I have from an echo and from a nuclear stress test, the next obvious step is to, let's get a calcium score and get a, CTA. Let's get some contrast running through me so we
Yeah.
can actually check. Didn't want to do it. No, no, you're good. We're just going to do things with meds. I came down to South Carolina where I live now, and my new cardiologist got me an echo and was reading notes from up in New York. I was like, I just can't see where they really actually determine that you have an occlusion. I don't get it.
Mm.
Okay, why don't we just do a CT? And I was like, thank you. That's what I've been asking for that for like forever. And like I said, when I got the news today, um, she called me up. She's like, your calcium score is zero. She's like, as you know, because I know you were in EMS and you studied, you were studying to get into medicine. The only real way to know is to actually do a heart cath.
Mhm.
But I don't think you need that. She's like, I'm not going to put you through that stress. She's like, because the CTA showed that there's nothing going on. It's like you're fine. You're good.
It's
Your heart is
amazing.
okay.
It's amazing.
So I was like, once I heard that, my bells just went off. I was like, all right. I was out of work for like 3 months this year because I got laid off, and right,
Mhm.
I'm working again. So like I had to scrimp. I went through some of my savings and everything, and I cut everything off. Everything, Netflix, all that shit went out the window the
Mhm.
minute I got laid off. I was like, and I haven't even, now that I'm working again, I haven't even pulled it back up. I was like, I went without it for 3, 4 months. I don't need it. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's a waste of money. Um, so now I'm like, now I can figure out, all right, I want to get back into martial arts, get some training and stuff like that. See if I can get some BJJ going and everything. We got an MMA place not too far from me, that I can go to at nighttime after work.
Mhm.
Um, Even if it's just punching and kicking and whatever it is, just to keep that cardio going and just also get some functional um, defense training again. Because I
Yeah.
grew up taking martial arts. I was actually a martial artist in high school. All right, I did all of that stuff. And just now knowing that after the test, coming back, and that's all I was waiting for. Just please, just give me a green light so we can make a plan, whether it's slower or faster. Now I know I can go a little bit faster. I can put my foot on the gas a little bit more. Where I was worried before, now I'm not that worried anymore. So, um, I definitely got a plan, Suresh.
That's huge.
Uh,
I highly recommend jujitsu, man. I've been doing jujitsu now for a few years, and about a year and a half into being a purple belt, and on my path to being a brown belt. And jujitsu changed my
nice.
life, man. It completely changed my life. It changed my health. It changed my flexibility, and it also changed my confidence. And it's taught me a lot. A lot of things I've learned and lessons I've learned on the mat. They resonate with life off the mat, and
Yeah.
even in business and relationships. So if you can get into a good jujitsu gym near you, I highly recommend you. It'll change your life.
Hey, listen, man, I'm gonna be 52 this year, so like, it comes a point where one, it's not that I don't know how to fight. I've been in fights before, and I've taken my licks and given plenty, but it's just you can never have enough training in my
Yeah.
mindset.
Yeah.
The way people are nowadays with just going off flying off the handle with shit. You just never know where you're gonna find yourself in a situation. And I also, like I said, I want to get myself to a point where I can train also with the pew pews a little bit better.
Hmm.
Again, where that movement, I can get the movement going. There's plenty of places where I'm at that are constantly throwing their stuff at me, like, "Hey, just come out."
Yeah. Yeah.
But like me personally, it's like I don't feel physically like I'm there yet. You know what I'm saying? It's like I
Hmm.
there's just got to get my flexibility back. Got to lose some more weight so I can move a little faster, and I'm not huffing and puffing while I'm trying to go through doors and shit.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the
All
more
of
you
that
do,
stuff
the
with
more
the
you'll be able to do. That's it.
yeah,
That's how it is.
exactly.
It
You know,
starts with walking around the block before you jog
speaking
around the block.
yeah, speaking of, didn't you just do a high rocks competition recently?
I did. I did high rocks,
Holy shit, man.
Yeah,
That's
man.
amazing.
People in my circle, they're like, "Bro, are you crazy?" And you know, I had a
I think
friend.
it's awesome.
Yeah, man. I mean, I had a friend. My One of my best friends passed away a few years ago. He was only 40 years old.
Yeah.
To talk about what you're talking about, just died suddenly, and it was right around the COVID time, and you know, it was a wake up call because life is short, man, and tomorrow's not guaranteed. And he had just had a baby 1 month prior,
Damn.
so he died. His baby was 1 month old, 40 years old, gone.
Is it
So
John Bartolo?
yep,
Is
yep,
it?
yeah, yeah, because that's actually how I know Jeremy and the Geeks and Gamers.
Yeah, you started talking and like I heard the story,
Yeah,
but I don't
yeah.
know the full story. I do know that what one of the reasons I absolutely respect you, man, is that I have seen your posts and stuff like that, that you still in touch with the Bartolo family and you're there to take care of them and do right by him because he was a good friend to you. And bro, nothing but straight respect for you, man. You stand on business, Arash, and I absolutely appreciate it. So I want everybody to know that this man is doing something that 99% of the people would not do, okay, for their own family. He's taking care of his best friend's family, and he doesn't even have to. It's not his responsibility, never was. But in his heart and in his soul, he's doing what's right. So rest in peace, JB. Know that your family, okay, God has got you, and God has got your family by putting Suresh in their pathway. So God bless you,
Yeah,
man, for
man.
doing that. I
Thanks.
think you're a phenomenal person, brother.
Thanks, man. It means a lot. And the hardest thing, like we talked about, a little while back about, the people in my agency, my police department that didn't have my back. The hardest thing for me to hear from John's, somewhat widow, the mother of his baby, is how she doesn't hear from people anymore. And
Oh,
she tells me not so much complaining about it, but she tells me from a place where it's hurtful, and more importantly, she feels like it's hurtful for her son. There was so many guys that John was so close to, and he was such like an integral part of their lives, and he helped them in so many ways. And these are people that John looked at as very, very good friends, close friends. And some of these people called John a brother. And she said that now she hasn't heard from these guys. Years, months. They don't check in on her. They don't check in on the baby. They don't check in on anything. And she is almost in a state of disbelief that that is the case for people who John was so close to, and he helps. And and she knows in her heart that if the roles were reversed, John would be there for those guys' family and for their
right,
kid and their widow. So she can't for the life of her imagine why she hasn't heard from any of these people, and they've all kind of just faded away into the ether. And she said, I can't she's like, I can't believe, but I can believe that you're the only one. You're the last man standing. John left you behind for a reason. And I mean, prior to him passing away, he said to me at one point, he said, "Man, if anything ever happens to me, I need you to do me a favor. Make sure my kid is okay. That's it. That's all I ever want. Just make sure my kid is okay. And just make sure that, you take care of him in the way I would take care of him. Just make sure my kid's okay." And I was like, "Yeah, man." I'm like, "Why are you talking like this? Nothing's going to happen to you." And man, a few months later, he was gone. But I had promised him. I promised him that I would be there to take care of his kid. And man, I'm just keeping my promise. And it blows my mind to hear her say that all these other people have disappeared. I mean, I fly out, I'm on the East Coast, and she and the baby live out in Nevada. So I fly out there a couple times a year. I check in. I don't care if she says, "I need the bushes trimmed. I need this cleaned up." Whatever it is, I just do all the chores around the house. I clean up. I do whatever I need to do, and I leave, and that's it. I play with the kid. I check in with him. I tell stories to him about his dad, and then I leave. And then I'll go back a few months later. He's a little bit bigger, and there's more projects to do. Hey, I need this ceiling fan put up in the baby's room. Oh, I need this desk put together for the baby. And she's a woman. She's being a single mom. She's doing her best, and she's trying to juggle work and everything. And there's just some things she can't get to,
Right.
and that's what I do. I pop in, I do that stuff, and I look out for her, I look out for that baby like I know John would look out for my child and my woman if I was in that situation. I'm
Right.
not doing anything he wouldn't do. And that's the measure of a man right there. What do they do? How do they act? How do they treat the widow and the family and the children of one of their brothers that pass away? You're not trying to go in there and slide in there and get in her bed. You're not trying to pull any of that shit. You're just showing up as a man,
Right.
doing what needs to be done, making sure you're a little bit of a male role model in that kid's family, in that kid's life, and that's it, man. You just be that constant rock, and that's all I'm doing. And I say this all the time. John would do the same thing. I'm not doing anything he wouldn't do. And that's all I can do. I'm doing my best. I wish I can go there more and be there more. I can't though. So I go out there 2, 3 times a year, and that's the most I can do. I do all the projects. I go to Home Depot, I go to Lowe's, I do what I need to do. I work at the house all day long. And then I go back to the hotel, I go to sleep and wake up the next morning. I show up the next morning and get back to work. That's that's part of, like, I'm sure you've heard, like, how you are with something is how you are with everything, and
Correct. I've
that's
heard that before.
with everything. That's how I got to where I am in business. That's how I got to how where I am in real estate. That's how I got to how I am with being in the physical shape I'm in, and that's why I push myself, because I was just going to the gym, and I was just doing the bro workout, and then one day,
Right.
COVID, I was like, I don't know how to fight. And I was a cop for 13 years. I need to learn how to fight. So I went and started jujitsu. And man, it was hard. Less than 2% of people who start jujitsu ever make it to purple belt. Less than 2%. And so when I got my purple belt a year and a half ago, I realized that hey man, that's a big accomplishment. That's something John was always striving for. He never reached it. And I dedicated that purple belt to him. And then I said, "What's the next hard thing I wanna do?" Because I'm blessed, I'm still here. He's not, I'm still here. There's people without legs. I got both my legs. There's people without arms. I have both my arms. I have the body and the mind to, so I said, what else am I gonna do?" So, through a friend, and crazy story how it happened. I feel like I kinda got bamboozled. But it was like, "Hey, high rocks." Bam, did high rocks. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. And
Bro,
I've trained with, like, SEAL Team 6 dudes. I mean,
yeah,
I'm telling you, it was the
I
hardest thing I've ever done, but I did it, and you know what? The blessing of that was I was able to do it, right?
right.
I mean, it was like something that most people, I would say most people on earth couldn't make it through high rocks.
I was CrossFitting, a couple of years back before like I said, I let the PTSD and everything get to me. I hit a really low place, not as low as unfortunately many, um, but low enough that I just let it get the best of me. But I was like, I was at the I in my 40s. Okay, I was in fantastic shape, better shape than I was in my 20s. CrossFitting. So like High Rocks isn't
Yeah.
that far off. I know it's diesel. You know, it's a race. Is
Mhm.
essentially what it
It's a
is. It's a
race.
race, and you're doing shit along the way and stuff like that. You know, so I guess I saw those pictures and I was like, oh man, I know he was in it.
I
I
was in
said,
it,
I know he was
man.
in it.
It was rough, but it was good. And now in September, I'm doing an Ironman triathlon, a full distance Ironman
Fucking A,
triathlon.
man.
I'm doing it in John's honor. I'm doing it in John's name, and that is a 2.5 mile swim, a 116-mile bike ride, and then a full marathon,
Full, di-
26.2
full
mile marathon. And I'm training for that now, spending a lot of time in the pool, on the bike, out on long runs. And I'm doing that still with going to the gym and lifting every day, and still with jujitsu 2 to 3 days a week. And there's a lot of people who are like, man, that's crazy. That's crazy. I'm like, man, no, that's blessed. How
Yeah.
blessed am I that I'm
I'm
able to.
surprised you didn't start with an Ironman with a sprint, an Ironman sprint like that,
Nah, no, no,
just
no.
to test the waters. You're
I
going
said,
full in. You're jumping
I'm
in the
going all
deep
in.
end, man.
I'm going all in, man. I don't want. I might try to. I might do a sprint like before as like a warm up, but I signed
Hmm.
up right away for the full. And people are like, "Yo, there's a half Ironman. You can do the half." I'm like, "No, I want nothing to do with that. I want to do the
Right,
full. I want to do it, and I want to get it done with. I'm gonna say I'm gonna get done, and then after I do the full Ironman, my next thing is gonna be a 100-mile race." And people once again are like, there's 25-mile race, there's 50-mile race. I'm like, I don't want to do a
yeah,
25 or a 50. I'm going to do 100. So once I complete the Ironman, I'm going to do a 100-mile race. And, these are all things I do not only to push myself and to keep me accountable to my health and who I am, but one, you want to do hard things and live a life that's worth living and have some good stories to say at the end of the life instead of, I wish I would have done more. I never want to say I
right.
wish I would have done more, but also, when you have a friend that passes away so early and so young, a lot of the stuff I'm doing, I'm dedicating to him. And that's part of and that's kind of how I know Daryl. And Daryl's my guy who's been with me since the beginning. So there's been plenty of things I've done where he's the only person that has been on there listening and been the only one supporter. So, he's an OG, and he was there for John too. So, shout out to Daryl. He's a good guy. He's on his weight loss journey. He's lost a bunch of weight as well. And I'm super proud of him. But this is what we
Right
do,
on,
man.
Daryl.
This is what warriors do, and you just keep fighting. You just keep fighting. You keep pushing. You keep grinding, and along the way, as you're doing it, you share. And the best thing is to bring others along with you, to bring
100%,
others
man.
along on the journey with you. The best thing that can come of doing an Ironman and doing a 100-mile race and doing high rocks is when I get messages saying, "Hey, how was that high rocks? I was thinking about doing one."
Right.
I'm trying to lose some weight, trying to get in shape. And I'm like, man, do it.
What?
Let me know what you need. I don't care if you need to DM me every day. Let me know what you need. Sign up for one. I'll tell you what I did to get ready, and you're going to do it. You
eh,
do it
n-
and get it done. And that to me, that's the best reward. Better than me
w- w-
crossing the finish line is them crossing the
w-
finish line because I did
were
it.
your times close to any of the professionals? Curious, because you're in good shape. So like I was just curious,
Oh, no.
because I know they got the professionals and stuff like that that do it and everything, and then
Yeah.
same thing
Yeah.
with like CrossFit and everything. So I was just curious.
I did it with a partner. I did it with a
Yeah,
female partner.
yeah, yeah.
So our times were pretty good for, male, female, for, our age group and things like that. Clearly wasn't even close to the best time, but it was
Hmm.
still, pretty good. We did like an hour and
Awesome.
23. But the pro men are now doing it in sub 1 hour,
Get the
which is
fuck out of here, man.
absolutely
And
mental.
High Rocks, it's not even that old, right? Like High Rocks is only
High
like,
Rocks is
what,
new,
maybe a
man.
decade, maybe about a
Yeah.
decade.
Yeah,
So I
High
was like,
Rocks is
holy
fairly
shit.
new. It just as the last couple of years, it blew up. I mean, it was big over in I think like New Zealand or Australia, like
Yeah.
over that part of the country, the world rather. And it started kind of creeping into Europe, and then now it's here in the States. And man, it is like going viral, and I love it, man. I love it. I still do some of the workouts that I use to prep for that, because it
Hmm.
just makes you a better human being and a stronger human being. And I feel like every man should be dangerously fit to not only for themselves but to help
Yeah.
protect their family, their loved ones, and
You
those
should be
around them.
capable. You should be capable of unreasonable violence while practicing peace.
That's amen. That's it, and that's what I do. That's what it's for. That's why I go to the range and still practice with my pistol, and I still want to be able to, you know, pop a tennis ball circumference from 25 yards with my
It's
Glock
awesome, man.
19. And people I go to the range with, they're like, "Bro, man, holy shit." I'm like, "No, no, 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 no. That's not like bro, man. That's what you should
Practice.
be like too. It comes from practice. You should do
Well,
the same thing."
from being a police officer, it's the same thing in the military. We train like we fight, right? Like that's the way you're supposed to, right?
Yep.
And I actually have seen enough videos of like, wow, you know, cops need to really, and like you said, like really, really need to. You said, holy shit! One day you were like, oh my god, I'm a cop and I don't know how to fight. Seen too many of those videos of cops getting the snot kicked out of them, okay, and not being able to get out of a situation and just gets bad, and you just see it just progress to even worse, and then what ends up happening, them having to fucking kill somebody, right? Rather than being able to just choke somebody out. And even though I know you're not supposed to, I don't really give a shit about that. If your life's in danger, you do what you got to do to get out of it. um it just is what it is. On the streets, the streets have the streets have no gender, and the streets have no rules, okay? And it's just like, a chick will kill you in the streets just as fast as a fucking dude will. People don't seem to understand that, right? Like, you can get killed by a chick because you're sleeping on her. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? You think, oh, she's
Mhm.
a chick, she won't do anything, and next thing you know, you get knifed or you're getting
Yeah.
shot or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So, uh, again, like I said, the streets have no rules and no gender when it comes to danger out in the
First
streets.
person who ever swung on me when I was on patrol was a female.
Right. Of course.
More females tried to attack me when I was a police officer than men. 100%
That
hands
doesn't
down.
surprise me, man.
Hands down. Hands
That
down.
doesn't surprise me.
More women. Yep. Yeah.
It's because as dudes, we understand violence, right? Like we understand that, like, I can go up against another dude, no matter how good I think I am, and just thoroughly get the snot kicked out of me. Like I can get my ass kicked really, really bad, even though I might have a history of kicking ass. That next guy that you go up on might just beat the shit out of you and absolutely obliterate you.
Yep.
In front of everybody. You know what I'm saying? So we understand that in our head. So we go out of our way to just not get caught up in violence. Now, there are some people who just like want to see the world burn, and they will do all, they're just some real nuts in the world. But most men, we understand violence, and we just like, because we have the most violence against us,
Mhm.
right? Like whether you're in the military, whether you're a cop, fireman, doesn't matter. Just in ordinary life, more men are getting hemmed up and stuff like that. So yeah, I get that. Having
Yeah,
to
man.
be You got to be, you just have to be, like I said, you got to be capable of unreasonable violence while practicing peace.
Yeah,
you
man.
know
Yeah,
um
man.
I learned that at a young age, that stay, like my dad used to tell me all the time. He was like, I don't want to hear you, and my mom too. Like my mom was a cop in the South Bronx, right? And like I remember two things from both of them. My dad used to tell me, okay, all the time. He was like, if your word means nothing, your name ain't shit.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, I don't ever want to find out that you're starting fights, but you do the best to to end them. Okay. Even if you get your ass kicked, you just don't go out like that. You know what I'm saying? Do your best to try to avoid a situation if you can. But if you can't, you just handle your business the way you have to. And then my mom used to tell me, as a cop, I just remember her. She was like, and this gets into what I was just saying about the women would be just as bad in the streets. My mom used to say, I don't want to hear anything about you beating your women or anything like that. Okay, because I'll lock you up myself. If you turn out to be that type of man, I'll lock you up myself. Okay, and I'll come in with some dudes who will fucking put a hurting on you. That my mom telling me this. She's like, I will lock your ass up myself if I ever find out you put your hands on your woman.
Yeah.
That you're just beating her up. But she said, but if you're in the street and some chick comes at you like a man, you better make sure you knock her ass out like one, because you never know what she's capable of.
Yeah.
And I never understood that until I was presented with a situation like that. Fortunately, I didn't have to knock this chick out, but like I just was like, oh shit, my mom told me about this. Like I remember I was like 19 at the time. It's like my mom told me about this. Like don't sleep on chicks in the street. Okay, if they're coming at you like a man, you handle yourself like a man. It's Don't worry about it. She's like, I won't look at you differently, because you didn't start no shit with anybody. So being ready all the time, man. And
Yeah,
that's where
man.
I guess that's where I'm at with, like, again, losing weight. I want to do competitions again. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to get into competition, and I want to get myself to a point where I can. Man, I watched how DNI Tulsi Gabbard fucking doing her thing on video, man, and I was like, God damn it! Like I know CrossFit, like I can do CrossFit, even though I'm fucking out of shape. You know what I'm saying? It's like I want to do that stuff with weapons. Like I want to train
Mhm.
like that. So that's my goal, when I get to my point at 100, I'll be working with weapons again. But when I get to 200 pounds, I know I'm probably gonna have to get the loose skin taken care of and all that other shit. But is to be able to be functioning like I was at 200 pounds in my 30s, now in my 50s. I know I can do it. I
Yeah,
still
you
have
can
my
do it.
I still have my strength and everything. So like I haven't lost my strength. Well, I lost some obviously because of age, but you know, that's where I'm at, Suresh.
Yeah,
That's what I want to do. I want to compete again.
you will. You'll be able to do it. And there's so many things out there today that, they existed, but they weren't present, right? And they're going to help, like, as we all age, thank God, I haven't needed to take anything where I got to inject myself as of yet. Am I saying I never will and I never will have to? No, but God willing, for as long as possible. But there's a lot of things I take now that are natural alternatives, like peptides, and that I
Mm,
found recently. I've discovered that you could take orally, and man, they're like changing my life. I'm feeling like $1 million. I'm feeling like I was 25 again. And to me, and they have them for, you don't need Ozempic. They have natural peptides now to help you lose weight better than Ozempic. Like, I'm learning
right.
about all this stuff over these last few months, and I'm like, man,
Oh,
technology is so amazing.
yeah.
And
And all the shit that comes with Ozempic, though, the side effects, I wouldn't
horrible,
want any of that anyway.
horrible,
It's just
yeah,
horrible. Yeah.
horrible. It's not even worth it. It's not worth your losing your life to lose weight, you know? So, all these things that are out there now to help make you look and feel better, that are natural alternatives, is amazing, man. And that's, what a time to be alive. What a time to be alive. Like, you don't need a needle, or you don't need some garbage in your body to lose weight and get in shape and feel great. And to me, it's simple. And the all the knowledge you need, and all the discipline you need is in here. And in here, all the knowledge you need is right in this thing. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all the knowledge you need. It's right there in the palm of your hands. And you could just saying in 2025 to say, I want to do something, but I don't quite know how to do it, is that's how you know someone who's full of shit, right?
Yeah.
That's someone who's full of some bullshit,
Yeah.
because there's no
It's true.
reason to say in 2025, yeah, I was thinking about doing that. I don't know the first thing about that. There's Chat GPT on your phone. He'll tell you the
Yeah.
first thing about it, the second thing, the third thing, and all the way to the 25th thing that you need to know about it.
Yeah.
So
It's true.
I run from those people. I run away, especially in business. But in life, anytime I hear someone say something like that nowadays, I run away from them, because that's a person who's lazy, they're not disciplined, and they're a bullshitter, and they're telling a story, they're making an excuse. And if they're going to do it to themselves, man, they'll sure as hell do it to you.
Oh,
So
man.
just run away from that person.
Yeah. I was telling a friend recently that, I was telling her, don't let the misery of others become your company because like people will bring you down.
Hmm.
When they're having things going on in their lives, they will lash out at you. They lash out at the people who've been there, okay, and have kind of taken care of them and have kind of like, taken it on the chin for them. But like at some point, you have to cut ties. Like I said, man, there are plenty of people that I haven't talked to. I had two friends, man, in my life that I thought were like, freaking the best of friends of my life, and both of them screwed me over with money. You know what I'm saying? So like,
Hmm.
I'm talking about a 20 plus year relationship with one and a 30 plus year relationship with the other, all over money. You know what I'm saying? That I didn't even want. Like, you know what I'm saying? It
Hmm.
was one I was doing business with, and the other one was helping him out when I got back. When this was like around 2017, helping his family out because he needed it and whatnot, and then just tried to get him a nice job and stuff like that where I was working and he screwed that up. Couldn't get the job. Made me look now my boss was cool, but made me look,
Mm.
silly and stuff like that. And I was like, I said never again. I will vet the shit out of people before I ever suggest that this is a person that was I've known for 30 plus years. We were in high school. We did a whole bunch of stuff with each other going back to high school. And it's like so like people like that will turn on you and all of a sudden they were making me out to like I was the bad guy.
Yeah, yeah. It's
And
it's
it's
so
just like,
crazy, right? It's so
yeah, it's just
crazy
like
how
what?
that what? Like, there's a handful of guys, not a handful, like one or two guys that um made me out to be a bad guy for how I've been with John's widow and
Oh,
his child.
I could
And
only imagine the
and
bullshit.
I'm like, wait a second, hold on a second. Like, what else do you want someone to do rather than go there and help out, and be a light of support, and be there for the kid when you can, and tell them about his dad, and you know um help out around, with projects, and that she needs help with, that she reaches out when she need, and then just check in. A lot of the times it's just checking in with a text message, or maybe once every few weeks checking in with a phone call or a FaceTime, and to have someone, to hear from her or to hear from third parties that there's people who have a problem with that. It's unbelievable. And that goes to show you should just live the life you want to live and do what you want to do, because no matter what you do and no matter how you live, somebody out there is going to have a problem with it. And
It's true.
this is a perfect example. Like, going to your boy's widow's house and like helping with projects, and like, riding bikes in the street with his kid, and a couple times a year, somehow is a bad thing to some people. Like, that's how screwed up like the world we live in is. And I tell people all the time, you can't listen to that noise. When she was telling me about that, she was telling me about some of the guys that she heard were saying that. I said, yeah, it's okay. It's sad for them, but
Right.
I'm not going to change what I'm doing. And she said, you better not change what you're doing, because
Yeah.
you're the only one still showing up, because it's the guys who are saying that are not showing up. And
Right.
she said it to me. She's like, it's funny. I haven't heard anyone who still calls me and texts me and still checks in on me. I haven't heard anyone say anything about you. It's all the ones that I haven't heard anything about. I haven't heard from them. They haven't checked in with me. They don't know if I'm alive or dead. They don't know if my kid is alive or dead. And this is John's baby. They don't know nothing about nothing because they don't know anything. But they're the ones that will like start whispering in the background. And that's how it
There's
always
always
goes,
someone
right?
chirping. It's
Yeah,
always
there's always
people
someone
chirping,
chirping.
man.
So, I never listen to it. I can't be bothered with it. I know I'm doing the right thing. And I know I'm doing what I think John would do for me. I know John would do for me. So I'm just going to keep going on that path, and I'm not going to let anyone's opinions deter me. And that's how it should be in life. No matter if you're on a weight loss journey, you're on a journey to earn more income, build a business, start a side hustle, whatever. Don't listen to the noise, and just stay on the path and do the work that's required, that you know how to do, because it's out there, and just keep pushing forward. Let the people talk, let them say what they're going to say, because if you try to live a life where no one talks about you and no one has a negative opinion, forget it. You might as well just end it right now, because it ain't going to happen. It's like that people who are like, we need to end racism. Man, if you're going to just sit here and just like wave a flag somewhere saying,
So it's always the most racist people that constantly say that, right? They come up with these ways on ending racism, but none of it is actually not racist.
no, it's
It's like,
all,
it's
yeah,
they come up with all this bullshit DEI stuff and all this other crap that's just extremely racist in nature. It's just like, oh man, it's like if
yeah.
you can you just hear yourself, idiot? You know what I'm saying?
And
But
they don't say they
I
don't
saw
they seriously, they don't, like you just said. Can you hear their? They don't hear it. Like, I'm like, where was that in Oregon, where they said they're gonna get rid of math because math
I remember
is
that.
too difficult for certain kids of certain races,
Yeah,
and therefore math is racist. So they were trying to eliminate math from the curriculum,
yeah.
and I'm like,
That's all
how
by design though.
demeaning is
Yeah,
that?
it's by design though, Suresh. That's a
Yeah, yeah,
leftist.
yeah, yeah,
That's all
yeah,
leftist design, right? Because the dumber you make people, right? The more stupid your populace is and doesn't understand things, the more you can actually pull the wool over their eyes. So,
yep.
like, if people can't read or they can't freaking multiply, it has an effect in other places. So it's all
Sure,
by design.
sure.
It's like I said, it's all racist in nature. They think they're doing social justice, okay, but it's not. There's nothing social justice about it. Rogue Nina said when we were talking, she's like, she says, Eric and Suresh, it's called energy vampires. It's true. You get
Yeah,
people who are
man.
energy vampires want to take your. Speaking of energy, man, I saw some pictures of you on inauguration night. You were hanging out with like Dakota Meyer and them,
Yeah,
some
man.
Congressional Medal of Honor winners and stuff.
Yeah,
That's
man.
pretty dope,
Yeah,
man. Did you get
yeah.
invited to that?
Yeah, I was invited. What a blessing. I do some work and involved with a woman named Sarah Verardo, and the organization she heads is the Verardo Group, and that organization encompasses a few companies and a few organizations. One is called the Independence Fund, that helps veterans and wounded veterans, and doing great things like getting them the motorized wheelchairs, and other things for their home, and I mean, just a great veterans organization called the Independence Fund. Anyone listening right now, just Google Independence Fund, and you'll see her husband, Michael Verardo, was one of the most severely injured servicemen as a result of that conflict. And he is dealing with, some debilitating, highly debilitating injuries as a result of the war. And his story is incredible. Just a hero, one of the heroes of our country. And so she is his caretaker and has, obviously caretaking help from him. They have beautiful girls, and another group she's organized is called FRAG, which is First Responders Action Group, which is another organization that helps first responders and, anyone dealing with mental illness, any kind of adversity that they're hitting as a first responder. She has an organization she's involved with called Save Our Allies. And Save Our Allies does incredible work here domestically and abroad during many different incidents and conflicts. So Sarah is just this person that is, doing God's work here on earth. And there's a lot of unsung heroes like that. She organizes some stuff
True.
and puts people in the same room and does a lot of things that you would never even know. And you wouldn't know Sarah unless you know her. But once you
Right.
realize who she is, you realize she's like a world mover. And she's just doing such incredible work. So it was through her that I ended up at inauguration. And I mean, we were at the front seat for so many different events, and we were at the Commander in Chief's ball. We were at all the big balls, and we were right there
Let's
with
go.
Trump. And I mean, it was just incredible. And we were there with some incredible people. Dakota Maya, Florent Goberg. I mean, you name it. I mean, I was like, man, I was just surrounded by greatness and surrounded by heroes, and it was such a blessing to just be in the room and to have eating dinner with some of these guys and
It's
talking
awesome,
to
man.
them and shaking their hands. And I mean, it was just an awesome experience.
No, man, that's good stuff. Suresh, it's essentially um, all your hard work paying off for you, man. Okay, like
Yeah.
you get to rub elbows with some really good people in life. People like uh, Sarah, who's doing her thing and just helping everyone. Okay, and like you said, doing God's work. And it brings you somewhere to like inauguration night where you're hanging out with Congressional Medal honor winners and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, man. Again, your hard work is just incredible. It's I don't know what to say that anybody who knows you will probably has said 1,000 times, man. Um, you're a true inspiration, and you are the epitome of what the American dream is and should be.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you having me on here and connecting with me and letting me, share my story. And like I said, the best thing that can come of this is someone listening, someone watching, saying, not, oh man, that guy does some cool stuff. No, the best thing that can come of it is someone to say, you know what? I'm going to start doing some stuff. I'm going to
Right.
start changing my life. I'm going to do some stuff. I'm going to start living a life of purpose. I'm going to up my discipline. I'm going to up my direction, and I'm going to try something. I'm going to do man, I'm going to start working out a little bit more. I'm going to start trying to give back to my community. I'm going to do something. And that's why I share my story. That's why I think a lot of people share their story. It's to motivate people to say, you know what? If he can do it, if this guy, immigrant mom, didn't speak the language, single mom, came here with nothing, grew up broke, grew up poor. We grew up on food stamps and all the garbage food that food stamps gets you, you name it.
Yeah.
Free lunch at school, latchkey program. If this guy can become a multimillionaire and start from a medical school to a cop to starting a business in his garage with $2 in his pocket and become a multimillionaire and be living the life of his dreams with the color of skin he has, then anyone can do it. Anyone can do it. And if that's what I want someone to listen to this and watch this and say, I can do it. I too
Absolutely.
can do it. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta have that I can do it freaking mentality. And I hope if those of you who are listening, my few regular viewers, I know my regular viewers are. But if you tuned in with us tonight, I hope you took his message to heart because it's a real serious message that we all need. And you got a couple of minutes you can hang out? Suresh?
Yeah, I got about another minute or two. Yeah.
All right. No, no, I'm gonna close this down. I just wanted to talk to you
Yeah, yeah,
behind
yeah. Yep.
behind what do you call it. So I'm gonna take us out, and then it'll be really quick, and then I just wanted to wrap to you really quick before you bounce.
Yeah, brother.
So America, say peace out to Suresh, who has just been phenomenal, phenomenal conversation tonight, with some great advice. And I just, I hope you all were listening to what he was saying, because his message is on point, and he's a man that stands on business with everything that he does. So, with all that said, I'm gonna take us out real quick, and then I'll just talk to you behind scenes and cut you loose so you can get out of here.
Yeah, brother.
Thanks again, Suresh. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Well, America, that was another great episode of Warrior Wednesday. Okay, Suresh, just please, please, all his links are in the description. Make sure you click on them, learn about this man, learn about what it is that he's doing. Okay, take his message to heart, all right, and let your just let your heart not be troubled, okay, because you can do it in America. America is the place, okay, where things could get done no matter what your walk of life is. So, with all that said, I am the Big Red One guy signing out, and remember that together and only together can we break the machine. God bless you all. God bless America, and I will see you all on Friday, fam. Have a good night.